Can we hear? Ooh. Can we hear?
Better now. We have pretty good crowd.
All right, this is the supposedly the first annual old-timer storytelling session.
Things still give me trouble.
Get away from the mics. Away from the speakers.
Oh, that's better now.
So, nothing's showing. Yeah.
A little bit to the wet.
This is a show.
Got it? There you got it.
We like it better when it does.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to play it kind of informal because we'll perfect this in the next 5 years, right? So we've got a number of volunteers who are going to tell us about various aspects of Roslyn in the good old days. I want you to think about some of your memories as people like Joyce and Alan speak. Think about the memories you had when you were here, when you were growing up. Let me warm up the crowd a little bit by remembering that on Wednesday and Saturday nights it was the big social deal, right?
Yeah.
You remember why?
Picked up girls.
No, it was because the sweet cream would go sour in the water tank. So you had to bring it in every 3 or 4 days. So that's what caused this area of town to be very busy. Remember, we used to drive up to the creamery, and there used to be a conveyor for the 5 gallon, or were they 5 gallon? 8 gallon.
8 gallon.
And then they'd wheel them in here, and if our friend Danny Simonson was still in the area with his flowing white hair, he would tell you in Norwegian brogue what Elmer Nerlin would yell out. And what, Harvey, where are you staying? What Signy would say in English to him. You can only imagine what that dialogue was like. So then, as you drove your car up here, you not only gave your cream to the creamery and expected butter back before the night was out, but you'd also drop chickens and eggs, and some of us more industrious people, frogs, for our spending money for grape soda and fudgesicles. So those are the things that I remember. Now, there were other things that went on Saturday nights and Wednesday nights. Do you guys remember anything?
I don't.
Those with automobiles, do you remember what you did up and down the street?
I don't remember.
Where's Art? Art can tell you about cars. What was on the steering wheel in those days that made it easier to turn the U-turns? They had the knobs, right? Yeah. And what were you doing? Cruising?
Well, that's what they call it now.
All right, so you can think about the memories of Wednesday and Saturday nights. There were a lot of things, including fireworks. We'll talk a little bit about fireworks later if we have time. So right now I'd like to have Joyce Lardy Nelson talk a little bit about her dad and her brothers. And this is probably the longest running history you'll hear today. 70 years of bus drivers.
Okay, I'm Joyce Lardy Nelson, and my family has had a long association with transporting children to school. They drove 7 decades, starting in 1940 and going through 2003. This picture is of my dad in the middle. I think he has a cigarette in his mouth. Should I move over here?
There you got it. There you got it. Good.
Okay, and right in front of my dad is me. And I don't know what was with all the plaid coats, but a lot of people wore plaid coats. The first means of transportation was just cars, and we used to sit like 3 deep in the back seat. Yeah, and no seat belts. And they tried to load them as they let them off. So sometimes the little ones got squashed in the bottom because they were the last ones to get off. Okay, the other people in that picture, there's Raymond Rabelski is next to my dad. Dorothy Rumsey. It's a sick meller. I can't remember her first name. Judy. And I don't recognize the other ones. Is it anyone else recognize?
That isn't Helen Rumsey by your dad, is it? It looks like Helen.
Oh,
Bernice Rasmussen.
Up there by your dad.
oh,
Or Evelyn Rasmussen.
oh, okay.
It looks like, doesn't it? She doesn't look like
Okay, so let's go to my brother now. Okay, this is my brother, my oldest brother Oscar, who drove a bus for many years. Started out with a car and then got into a big yellow bus, but unfortunately nobody took pictures of him in his big yellow bus. But he drove for many, many years. Actually, he has a covered truck there. And I remember in the wintertime, when the roads were so bad, we'd have to ride in a covered wagon with sleighs on it with horses. And you wouldn't think I was that old. I don't know, that sounds like ancient, but my mother used to warm flat irons and wrap them in newspaper so that we could warm our feet until we got to town. And then when we got to town, the city slickers, like my husband Gary and Alan and Harvey, they used to hook on to the back of the sleighs and get a free ride in the snow. They had the easy life.
And Danny wrote a story for us last night that Harvey's going to read about hitching.
Okay, so you know all about that, Harvey. All right. Now, I don't know, these people, if anyone recognizes them, I don't really know who they are.
Looks like a Hellwig in front, the little guy.
Yeah, he would have had Hellwigs. Oh, Tommy's probably there. Is Tommy here? No. And they all have plaid jackets too. Okay, so on to Raymond. Here's my brother Ray. And there's Art. Art, there you are.
The little guy.
Yeah, and Harlan. I think there's about 6 Lardys in there. And Autumn Locken. Anybody remember her? Yeah. She was beautiful. As they all were.
Including Art.
And both Raymond and Aki went on to the big yellow buses and drove for 30, 40 years. Okay, next. Okay, here's my brother-in-law, Donnie. This was his first bus, and he started in 1956. It was the year we graduated. And he drove actually for 46 years. He had 3 generations of kids, and they liked him so well that they kept asking him to stay longer so that they could just get their kids through high school with him. Now the next picture, this is his last bus that he had in 2004, Gloria? Okay. So he drove for 46 years, can you imagine?
47.
Oh, 47. I have that written down here, but I haven't looked at my notes yet, so.
47 years.
So 47 years, which isn't that remarkable? I think no one will ever do that record. So anyway, we're very proud of the fact that our family hauled children to school for 7 decades.
Didn't lose a one.
Didn't lose a one. Donnie used to tell the story about when he'd take children to, basketball games or senior trips, and he'd say, like, one time a father came up to him and said, okay, now she's in your hands. So it was kind of scary, he said, but he was such a good driver, no one had to worry. Okay, on to my dad. My dad, Mike, he became a janitor when he was 60 years old. Oh, what should I do?
Just keep down.
Just tilt it
Down?
back, tilt it back toward the screen.
There you go.
Okay. He started when he was 60 and he retired when he was 80. And I was his helper for all through high school. And Gloria and my mom, also in the summertime, we had to clean the schools and get them all ready for next year. There's my dad. But he was 80 years old when he retired. And look how young he looks. There, Tom, do you look like him? My son, we always say he looks like my dad when he was
I
younger.
don't have a big schnauzer. That's big schnauzer.
And that's it. The other thing I just wanted to say, with my dad working in the school, and now Tim, of course, is doing it, but it's so different now because they have carpeting. And we used to do hardwood floors with the scrubbing and the sealing and the waxing and the, I don't know how many layers we put on. But it was always in tip-top shape by fall. When the buses started rolling again, the flag started flying, and everyone was coming back to Roslyn High School. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.